So today's episode, I'm going to bring you several of these here in a row. I'm probably going to just make a playlist on it. I want to talk to people who have experienced what I've experienced. They have gone through an acquisition at their W-2 job, and it pushed them out of the W-2 world to start investing either as a side gig and now turn into a full time. That's all they're doing is real estate investing, or they have started this journey down real estate investing, still going through the painstaking things that happen during acquisition. And I want to bring their stories to you. So today I'm talking to Josh Carlegis, who worked as an industrial salesman just a few years ago, just 4 years ago, and they got acquired by a French company. Came in, wasn't too long after that. He and three of his buddies who worked at the same company went in and said, "Hey, we're no longer going to work for you. We will try to work out a deal with you. We would like to represent you, but we're going to be 1099 folks. We're going to do our own thing." And they said no. So now him and those two other guys are business partners on real estate investing, and they're full-time real estate investors. Freaking incredible. Now, Josh currently invests in the city where I went to college. That 2.5 GPA that I keep bragging about right over there. That's from where that is, Jacksonville, Alabama, not Jacksonville, Florida, Jacksonville, Alabama. So we go down some memory lane things for me, and we get to talking about some hot wings and just places that we used to go when I used to be there. When I used to be there. So now he is investing all over the state, right? All over the state of Alabama. And we pick on Mississippi just a little bit. One of the things I think is super creative is they bought a warehouse. It's like $80,000, I think was the purchase price of it. Just got a value of $600,000. They brought in a CrossFit gym, and as part of their lease, as part of the CrossFit Gym's lease, they have to give the owners of the building a membership into CrossFit. So we get into that just a little bit. Here we go. All right, so today's guest is Josh Carlegis. He is a managing partner of the SCI Group and DSM Holdings. He started his real estate investment career in the college town of Jacksonville, Alabama. I point at it often. You probably can't see it right now, but I point at it often. That's where I got my 2.5 GPA undergrad. But he started investing in Jacksonville, Alabama in 2015, starting in single-family rentals as a side gig, a retirement plan kind of initiative while working a full-time job in industrial sales. Josh has grown a portfolio to include apartments, office space, restaurant, retail, and warehouse space. After separating from the sales world in 2018, which I love his story about doing this, is he and some of his coworkers went into the office after this acquisition happened and said, "Hey, we've had enough. We're leaving. We would like to offer you a 1099 piece, and we're going to go do our own thing, and you will be one of our clients." They didn't take them up on it, right? So they left, and they started investing as partners, all three of those guys. Pretty incredible. But the SCI Group syndicates and joint ventures apartments and commercial deals and strives to bring the maximum amount of value to its investors and partners. They focus in the Southeast with an emphasis on Alabama's I-65 corridor and the Gulf Coast. Outside of real estate, this is where Josh and I feel like we're brothers from another mother. Well, maybe not his first point. Josh enjoys CrossFit. I do not. But Josh enjoys boating, fishing, the coastal waters of Alabama and Florida. Let's bring him in. Josh, welcome to the show, man. I am super excited to talk to you today. Reason being is because you live where I went to college. And I'm kind of bummed out. We were just talking before the record button. You actually didn't go to college at Jacksonville State University, because I brag on this diploma that's hanging on the wall over here, that 2.5 GPA. I brag on it all the time, man. But you just told me, he's like, no, I didn't go to school here. I actually grew up in Houston, Texas. And then I led in with, how in the hell did you end up in Jacksonville, Alabama? So I got to hear this story. How'd you end up in Jacksonville?
Yeah, it's a weird place to end up in. I'm from Houston. I went to school at Texas Tech. When September 11th happened, quit school, joined the Army,
Nice.
Went through all my training. They were putting us obviously in the first units that were deploying. So they said, "You're going to Anniston, Alabama." And I was like, "Where is that?" And they said, "It's by Talladega." I was like, "Still, where is that?"
Where's that?
And yeah. And so they sent me out here, did that, got out in 2006, and went to work for a company here in Jacksonville and stayed with them for 10 years. They sold, stayed with the new company for a couple of years, which is the reason we're on here. You had asked about an acquisition situation. So did that, and over the years built a real estate portfolio and a couple businesses here that do that. So I'm here for the meantime. I'll always be here, but like we were talking about, I'm about to make a move down to the coast. So looking forward to that too.
You just missed the best month of the year to be down here. October is the best, man. The sun shifts, gets ready for daylight savings time. I'm being sarcastic, but the sun does shift, and the sunsets are amazing. The tourists are gone. The weather is cooled off. You have the beach to yourself and pretty much to yourself. And then about November, the snowbirds start coming in, which you said you're going to be one.
That's me, man.
I do want to dive into the acquisition piece and kind of, because that's my story, right? I mean, we became, we were acquired, by no stretch of imagination did that acquisition go well at all. And then, I reached out, I was like, you know what, there's something missing in the message I'm giving people. And it's that part of the story. So you and a handful of other people interviewing this week, matter of fact, stepped up and said, yeah, I'm same thing, same for here, right? So the next several weeks are going to be stories just like mine and yours. And I want to go ahead and number one, I want to say thank you for your service. I didn't know that was part of what you did. And going to the Anderson Army Depot was probably not your first choice if you got to
choose. Absolutely not.
You might choose Alaska over Anderson.
Yeah, the recruiters, when they were getting you to sign up, they said, "Oh, you can go do anything you want. You can get stationed wherever you want, and you get to pick your list of. You make your list of 3." And I don't even think that makes it out the door. They wad it up, throw it away, and especially in those kind of times, in the deployment cycle, you're going to the next place. So I had 2 places in Texas and 1 in Colorado that I wanted, and I made it here. So but it's all worked out. I mean, everything's worked out for the best.
Yeah. Yep. And I'm going to go ahead and apologize. So it's 5:00, which is usually when we eat at our house with 3 kids. Sometimes it gets a little loud. My wife's going to do the best she can. She does a really good job of keeping them quiet. And I know we were talking about this, and we're going to get into this story too, is that where you're at, you're sitting in an office, or between your office and the CrossFit gym that you guys took over and built out as part of your real estate acquisitions, right? So we're going to talk about that here in a little bit. But if you hear things, if your people are watching, or if you're listening and you hear things or you see things, it's just normal business. It's just normal what's going on, right? For Josh,
I think we've got 7 kids and at least 3 dogs out there right now. So there's no telling what's coming in.
Are all 7 of them yours?
No.
Oh, okay. I got you.
I get plenty of that here. I don't need my own.
There you go. All right. So let's talk about the acquisition. You were in industrial sales, right? You were working you had exited the military, and then you got a job doing industrial sales. How long again were you doing that before the acquisition happened? And then when the acquisition happened, how long did you stick around?
So I was at the original company. It was a small family-owned manufacturing company here in Jacksonville, right off the walking trail, right over by the college. I'm sure you've been by it 100 times. So
I don't know. I didn't do a whole lot of walking.
Well, it's kind of on the way to the bar. So there you go.
Okay. All right. Well.
But I worked for them, started out in logistics and kind of worked my way up, worked into sales, did that that was probably the last 7 years of my career or so with that company. So it was a small family-owned company, great to work for, kind of fostered the entrepreneurial spirit, and it was a great time. So I did that for 10 years. That was sold in 2016 to a big, giant corporate French company. And then it just it just went downhill from there. I mean, it was, they report you to death, and, it was not what we were used to, not what we were good at. They kind of took the company. The industry that we were in is very relational, very, it's just, that's how it works here in the States. It's not how it works over in Europe. And so they just kind of tried to bring that European mindset and focus to it. And just really ran it down. I mean, we weren't the first to leave, but we were, so me and my two business partners, we all worked together there. And we all walked in on the same day and quit together. So
wow.
we were
ballsy move, man.
yeah. We weren't the first, but we were some of the early ones. And since then, I mean, they've lost all middle and upper level management. I think, man, there's like one or two people left from our day. So
wow.
It's been sad to see what they've done to that company.
Yeah, chasing after the almighty dollar. So you and your two investing business partners all worked at this industrial place, and y'all all three left at the same day. Now, I'm sure all of you knew that you're all, like, it wasn't a surprise, or did one person go in and slam their notice on the desk and say, I'm out, and then the other two hear it and like, well, I'm out too. Like, how did this go down?
We walked in as a group.
Wow.
And it was kind of odd because I was actually wearing a collared shirt for once, and so the girls up front knew something was up, and so we walked in, and the way that they were running it, they were bringing on other managers that we didn't agree with. There was just kind of like, the old guys, new guys kind of political stuff that was going on. So we just walked in and told them and said, hey, we quit. And he wasn't called a CEO. They didn't have a CEO. But the general manager, the main guy, thought it was a money grab. He was like, oh, so y'all are trying to negotiate better salaries? And we were like, no, we're gone. And he said, well, and we offered him, so the intent was not to go into real estate. It was something that we've been doing on the side. We offered him a proposition to represent them, and but do it on our own terms. And he politely declined. So we said, well, it's effective today.
Wow. I love it. I have to imagine. So how old were you at the time this went down?
That was 2 years ago. So I was 35.
Okay. So, kudos to you to having the balls to go in and do this, even though you had your business partners there on your side. I don't know that I would have done that. Right. So I've exited the W-2 world, but I got the boot via COVID, and that has been the best thing that ever happened, because I don't know that I would ever muster up enough courage to do that. So leading up to that decision, of course, I had transitioned companies from a year before, and my acquisition story, it got so bad that I just eventually left, right? And I went to work for another company. But how nerve-wracking, like, what were some of the things that you were going through on a daily basis that made you and your business partner, your now business partners, think of like, all right, something's got to change and we're out of here, right?
Yeah. It was just the management structure and the politics. I don't do well in corporate. I don't do well with politics. So for me, my job really wasn't that bad. They were so busy focused on screwing everything else up. They really didn't mess with me all that much. My other two partners, they had it a lot worse. One was our sales manager. So the travel and the meetings and the constant just stuff was just terrible. And then the other was our controller. And so it was like,
oh wow,
when we close out the month or close out the quarter, you need to have it done in 4 days or whatever. So he was there like one day really late on Easter or something like that. And he was going to leave and do something one way or another. So, and I didn't care. I mean, I would have always worked for the guy that owned the business previously. The guy I went to work for, I would have stayed working with him, been working for him forever.
But he was no longer
them
part
coming
of
in, and yes, he was the old owner. Them coming in and doing it and changing the way that they did things and just changing the way that our company ran. It was getting to a point where it was affecting my customers, and I knew if I ever did want to stay in this business or get back in that business, I needed my customers to have my back. So I kind of had to pick them. And we didn't leave to. The original intent was that we had some non-compete things, so we had to sit
Right.
out
Yeah.
for a period of time because of the way we left. But you know, we always, when we left, we had kind of intended to get back into it. So it's not looking that way anymore. We're gonna
Yeah.
sticking with what we're doing. But
Yeah.
but definitely enjoyed it, and but I'm also happy I'm out and doing this full time, because, like you said, you can do on the side. I was very flexible in sales, so I had the time and the ability to do stuff. But at the same time, I didn't always have the ability just to drop everything and do something and move towards a deal that we were able to do, and ended up getting probably our first big deal. Would have been difficult to pull off with the W-2. So
What was that first
happy
big
to
deal?
make the jump. We've got about, it was 88,000 square foot of retail and office space up in Huntsville. We've sold off part of that now. We've got 80,000 left. So without the ability to kind of focus a lot of time and effort and just drop everything and go up there to see the property and start looking at the deal, we would have missed it.
Yeah. And for those of y'all who don't know, Jacksonville was up in Northeast Alabama. And you may think, no, Jacksonville's in Florida. Yes, there is a Jacksonville, Florida. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about Jacksonville, Alabama, home of the Gamecocks. Throw it out there. But you're talking about in Huntsville, you guys found a retail space in Huntsville, which is, how far of that? I don't know that I've ever drawn from Jacksonville to Huntsville before. What is that, like 3 or 4 hours? Because there's no direct shot, right?
No, it's 2 hours, whether you go 45 the whole way, go 90 the whole way, stop and eat Chick-fil-A twice, don't stop at all. I mean, I haven't figured out how to make it less or more than 2 hours.
So your very first deal, you and your partners, was a retail space. Is that right?
I mean, that was our first large commercial deal, seven-figure deal.
How did you end up finding that in Huntsville? Like, what was if you're in Jacksonville and Anniston? I mean, you're looking all over the state. Like, what's the idea there?
Yeah, so I mean, we're looking all over the state. We kind of try and focus on the bigger cities with more population and jobs and that sort of thing. But it came through a broker. You know, we kind of used our coming out of sales, using that relationship building experience. We kind of used that when we quit, and ended up making a relationship with a broker, and he got it, gave it to us, kind of before he had it on the market, before he had a real good offering packet on it and everything. And so we got it, dug into it quick, and put it under contract within a day or two. And
do you guys raise money for this deal, or did you?
We did a joint venture for this one. Yeah.
Okay.
We did JV.
Very cool.
So we brought some outside money, and that was the first time we brought outside money. Up to that point, we had all been private.
Gotcha.
We funded ourselves.
Gotcha. Let's talk about the space that you're in right now. Part of it is a CrossFit gym. That's number 3. She's wanting some supper. I don't know if you heard that or not, but it was pretty loud here. You have this warehouse space you guys found, and this is in Jacksonville, right?
Yeah. If you remember,
tell us that story, man. That's interesting. What is it?
Do you remember where the cleaners was? The right behind the Walgreens.
Man, I don't remember much about those days.
You remember Jeffersons?
I know where Jeffersons is. Yeah.
All right, we're like catty corner to Jeffersons. There's a white warehouse building up there.
So again, just if you're listening, Jeffersons is probably one of the best places to eat hot wings.
Absolutely.
In the entire state of Alabama. # not sponsored, but I would love if they wanted to.
We would take one though, wouldn't we?
That or I know Struts. Struts has been pretty good too, but Jefferson's
is good too.
We every time we eat wings, that's the bar, right?
Yeah.
My dad says to this day, hey, that's a good wing, but this is not Jefferson's. I'm like,
that's right.
Got it.
They're hard to beat, man. So we're catty corner. We're walking distance to there, so it hits the lunch budget frequently.
Yeah, I bet.
Yeah, so we found this.
Now, wait a minute. Time out. You're sitting here, you're running a CrossFit gym, and you're talking about going over to lunch frequently to Jeffersons. Do you
That's
have
why
to
we
do
do
like
it,
some
man.
extra burpees or something?
Yeah, you pay for it eventually.
Oh man, one of my very first memories of Jefferson's, I was in there with my parents, and we're sitting there, and this humongous guy walks in, and I was like, "That's Warren Sapp." And my dad did not pay attention to NFL or anything like that. I was like, "That's Warren Sapp. That is Warren Sapp." He goes, "We'll go get his autograph." Of course, I'm not going to, so I'm shy as hell. And he leaves, or whatever. And our waitress comes by finally, and I was like, "Let me ask you something. Who was that guy?" And she goes, "Oh, that's Warren Sapp. He comes in here all the time." Like,
No way.
now
I didn't know he had any.
this was like 20 or 30 years ago. I mean,
Yeah.
when you and I talked about doing this, this afternoon I looked up. I was like, let me go see if any of my old professors are still there. And the answer is no. All of them are
Really?
retired. Matter of fact, there's a guy who's a professor there. Well, no, there's one professor still there, but there's a guy who's a professor that I graduated with. Like, and he was the guy that went in the class, carried no books whatsoever, and told the teacher that they were wrong and when they were teaching things. And it was annoying at the time, but I finally figured out that that's the guy that you want to do these team projects with. That's the guy. You want him on your team. But he's now teaching there, and a lot of my old teammates, they're assistant coaches or doing something, with the university. And I don't know how we got into this rabbit hole other than it being 30 years ago since I saw Warren Sapp in Jefferson's. But anyway, people just now tune in and skip to the middle of this. They're like, what the hell? This is real estate? We're talking about how valuable commercial real estate is next to Jefferson's. That's what we're talking about.
Yeah, absolutely.
No,
Absolutely.
so back to the CrossFit. I'll try to get us back on track here. Back to the CrossFit gym. You guys saw this big empty building, and y'all started building it out for a CrossFit. Like, tell me the story behind that.
No, not that fancy. It makes it sound way smarter than we are. But yeah, we got wind that it was for sale. Somebody we knew had looked at possibly buying it, and it just it's a warehouse in Jacksonville. It's just not that desirable. And so my partner drove by and ended up, I think, seeing the guy. So a church owned it, and kind of the guy that I guess takes care of the church. He was in here, get some stuff, and talked to him, and we put it under contract, and we just got it so cheap that we bought it. We knew we were going to lose because we used the manufacturing warehouse kind of personally, keep Jeeps and junk and
Gotcha.
stuff.
So your own personal storage.
Exactly. Yeah. So we knew we were leaving that. We figured we would want something else. So we did this. I mean, and we paid nothing. I mean, we paid $80,000 for this and a house. So it was.
Oh wow.
It was just really cheap. We didn't really have an intent or a desire, and so we were, active working at the gym. He had, after the tornado, he had lost his spot, kind of bounced around. He was in a really small spot that was really impeding his growth. So he does a great job running it. So we talked to him and worked out an agreement where we could build it out. So we had to bring a bunch of stuff up to code with the sprinkler, build some bathrooms in there, did a lot of work to the outside, put a parking lot in, which was a nightmare, and do all that. So we've got them. We moved him from probably about total 2,000 square feet. He maybe had 1,200 to work out in. Now he's in like 7,500 square feet. He's got probably,
oh wow,
I don't know, 3,000, 4,000 to work in. Probably more than that, really. So it was a good deal on both ends. We were able to kind of increase the value of a building, and by doing that, we put a much larger line of credit on it that we use as a checkbook now. We can pull off of as we need.
So, does he own part of the building with you guys, or is his rent just keeps going up?
Yeah, he just leases.
Nice, very nice,
yep.
Nice.
I think since he's been in here, I think he's gotten like 40 or 50 new members. I mean, it's been wow. Really good for both parties.
Do you guys get a free membership out of it?
Yeah, that was on the lease.
You know what? He could give me one, and he would be winning in that case. I would not be. Matter of fact, the other night on a virtual happy hour that we do, I started this month doing it. You know, after a few drinks, I started getting loose lipped and just, you know what? I'm going to commit to 75 hard starting January 1. And dadgummit, there was two other people on there who said, "Yep, I'm going to do it with you." And I was like, "Damn, now I got to do it." So yeah, I have not. It's been a while since I've seen a gym or any real physical activity. So this is going to be interesting. This is going to be interesting. So you've got properties in Jacksonville. I mean, you're just investing in the state of Alabama, right? Or are you across state lines, or how does that work? Because I've seen you've got some stuff in Montgomery. We talked about the property in Huntsville. Now you've got an apartment complex in Mobile. So
yeah, we've got two that we should be closing on, one this week and one next week, one in Homewood and one in Pascagoula. So Pascagoula will be the first one outside of the city line or the state lines. Where,
technically, it's like an extension of Mobile. I mean, it's like
it might as well be. Yeah,
it's 20 minutes from there. Although there's not a whole lot going on in Pascagoula. I would love to know where this property is. So when you get it closed, let me know. But
yeah, I will. It's a cash flow play. It's nothing exciting. It's not sexy at all.
I had a client over there talk about wanting to represent your clients well. You know, there was one client who had been my client for 15 years and made it through all the different acquisitions with us and kind of held out with us. And then this is the only client that did that. After 2 months after I had left, they called me and said, "Jay, we just want to let you know that we're leaving." And I was like, "Well, what do you mean you're leaving?" Like, I already left. We already had this conversation. He goes, "No, we're calling to let you know that we're leaving the technology company that I represented because you're not there anymore. And we were there because you were there." And I was like, "Huh." I mean, you talking about stroking the ego. I was like, wow, yeah. That's huge. But I don't know. It was almost, and the acquisition was just so, I was just so sour about it. Probably still am. It's probably why I'm wanting to talk about it, just trying to get these demons out of here. But it was so uplifting to hear a customer call and say, I mean, take effort to call and say that, you know.
That's in relational, relationship driven businesses like we're in, and real estate's the same way. You know, that's what it is. I mean, there's a lot of my customers the same way. You know, they can get products and services from anybody. You know, you build those relationships, so they want to get them from you.
Yeah. And real estate is just the same way, right? I mean, I imagine these 2 deals you have coming up, I mean, is this the first deal you had with those realtors or that community? I mean, tell me about those that you have coming up.
The one in Homewood, we kind of have an active relationship with that broker. He brought us the Mobile deal, came in on that one with us. So we did it, executed and closed. So now, you know, we're getting looks at other bigger stuff. So yeah. That's where that one came. The other one came from another broker that we've kind of been, you know, we've just fostered a relationship with. He sends something, we send him feedback. You know, we've made some offers on stuff. We've said we don't like some stuff that he sent, but you know, this one kind of finally hit. So, you know, it's that relationship building.
Yeah. And it is hugely important. And I know it's important everywhere, but for the folks who don't know, like in Alabama, it's even more important. I mean, it's just something about dealing with Mobile. I'm surprised. There had to be a prior relationship there, I would think, that you guys were fostering to get that apartment complex, because Mobile is a very tight niche community. Yeah. Right. I mean, even though it's big in population, there are people like that. I know New Orleans gets a lot of press for Mardi Gras, but Mobile is where Mardi Gras actually started here in the U.S. And there are crews and associations and everything that's dealing with Mardi Gras. And unless you're in a crew or you're in a certain crew, then people don't do business with you unless you are. You know, I mean, it's a very, very political, very tight niche group that if you're an outsider like I was, it's frustrating as hell to try to get business done.
Yeah.
And because it is so much driven by the relationship. So we were talking about this off air earlier, that I think there's an apartment complex that you guys closed on that I looked at. I didn't, I don't think I took a stab at it. I think when I saw the price, when I did the evaluation, it had a negative NOI because of how they labeled it in their books. And I was like, well, I mean, you can give it to me, but I know that wasn't going.
Yeah.
But no, it was one of those where I couldn't tell what they had done versus like CapEx versus maintenance and repairs, because it was just, the books were just ugly.
Terrible.
I mean, they were just, is this the, like, I don't know, maybe you can send me the address afterwards and I'll look and see, because I know where it is, because I drove by it several times.
Trying to see not in a fun place to be.
It's probably the same.
Not in a good part of the deal.
Probably the same one then. All right, so where was I going to go next? Back to, you have properties everywhere. One of them's in Montgomery. You recently did a cost segregation study on your property in Montgomery. Tell me about that. I mean, I know we're covering a lot of topics here, but the benefits of cost segregation is just huge if you have the right CPA that believes in them, right? And there's a lot of CPAs that don't, for whatever reason. Tell me about that. Tell me what that experience was like. You got to get a new CPA.
If your CPA doesn't believe in them, then get, we use Madison Specs, Yona Weiss, anybody who's kind of in the social media multifamily circle, probably seen or heard of them. They do a great job. They've done two of them for us now. But if your CPA doesn't believe in it, put Yona's company in touch with them and let them talk about it. Our CPA does. He's fine with them. So we did that. That one, it was pretty stable property. Very stable. It was 100% occupied. The owners had built it, and we're just kind of moving on. They depreciated out, so they sold it. We got it for what we thought was a pretty good price. 100% occupied, cash flowing. So we just used the cost seg to kind of increase the benefits on that, and wrote down, I can't remember exactly how much, but we'll write down enough, to for sure wipe off the income for this year and probably past years too, or carry forward, whichever one our investors want to do.
So let's talk about your entire portfolio. You as a general partner or limited partner, whatever the case may be, if your name's attached to it, how many units do you have in your portfolio, and when did you start? You started in 2015, right? 2015, 2016, and here we are just 4 years later. I kind of feel like you guys have just skyrocketed with your acquisitions. Like I'm seriously impressed, but I don't know the number. So what's the actual number of units? And I know when you get into the retail space, you more or less talk about square footage. It's not just the number of doors. So help me understand what your portfolio mix looks like.
Yeah, so we're kind of in a lot of stuff. When we started in 2015, Jacksonville, it's a college town, so single family rentals they make a lot of sense. They were really cheap here. It's gotten, I don't know what everybody's seen the housing market get a little bit more difficult to find stuff. We've got more competition now. People don't know what they're doing, paying too much. So we're kind of fighting.
You don't say.
Yeah. And so that kind of line has slowed down a little bit, but we've probably got privately held probably around like 70 or 80 units. Syndicated, we've got the 60 in Homewood that will be syndicating. So it'll probably be flipped. It'll probably be like 90, 60, 90 privately held, 60 syndicated. And we've got about 100,000 some change square foot of retail, office, some restaurants, things like that. We got our warehouse, 20,000 square feet. And then I'm trying to think. And then I'm limited in a syndication in Houston. It's like 1,275 units. It's a pretty big one. So that was my first limited partnership experience.
Is that a Joe Fairless deal?
No.
He does a lot of stuff
George
in Texas.
Albert.
Know him.
he's another one on the kind of on the social scene. But I've met him and trust them. Oh shoot.
Yep.
And
if you guys are listening, I want to tell you, when you have so many deals going on and you don't know the exact number of units, it's very common to do that. On my very tiny whiteboard up here in the very top left-hand corner, I have them all listed. And anytime anybody asks me, I have to go back and look because I don't necessarily know what's moved and when it moved. And it just kind of, that's not fair to say. I know when things moved. There's just so much other going on that you may not necessarily know exactly how many doors you have.
Yeah, we still flip too.
Oh, do you?
So,
Wow.
Yeah, when you're always adding and selling door, and we sold off a 12-unit apartment complex. So, like you said, it's kind of a roller coaster, and we're still doing flips. So, we've probably flipped, I don't know, maybe 30 houses over the years. Yeah, we did a lot. In 2018, a tornado came through, went right through Jacksonville and damaged that. So we went around and we bought a lot of houses from people, they got their insurance money, got rid of the headache, and then we came through and did them. I've never sat down and counted them up, but I want to say we probably did about 20 houses that year in addition to working. So that was a busy year.
Yeah. Yeah. That's very opportunistic though for you guys to be able to do that. I imagine a lot of the capital that y'all were able to create then has allowed to allow you to reinvest now. That's really cool.
Yeah. So the way that
go ahead.
The way that we operate or have operated, is kind of on the Burr type method. And it's steadily increasing our line of credit with the bank. So, we'll buy something, fix it up, add it to the line, and we get 80% every time of the improved value. So, through that, we were able to grow our line. We got our first line of credit. We paid cash for our first house and then, bought a couple more, used those as collateral, got a new line of credit, maxed that out, reappraise everything, get a new line of credit. So we've gotten like 3 or 4 or 5 basically renewal, lines of credit now. And each time as we bought the houses and improved the value, that line of credit's gone up till now. It's a pretty substantial amount.
What's substantial? $1 million?
We just pulled out 1.3 million. And then we've got 500 on the warehouse that we can kind of use as a checkbook. So
it's awesome. It's incredible. The same warehouse that you bought for 80,000, now you're able to. You have a $500,000 line of credit on it.
Yeah, and that's just because they wouldn't. It got appraised for 600, and that's without the house too. So
that's incredible.
They had to go to the board or something to get more than 500 grand. So we just said just put 500 on it. So we're probably in it after all the work and everything. We're probably in it for 250.
Yeah. And when you say go to the board, you must be dealing with a small bank.
The bank, regional banks is all we deal with. We don't have any agency debt right now. We intend to as we kind of stabilize some stuff, but right now, man, it's easy to work with the smaller banks, and they're getting competitive too,
man.
Yeah. They're getting more and more competitive, and with the agency debt requiring all the all the holdbacks and the reserves and the escrows and everything, it just it's kind of making sense in the scale that we do things.
Do you have any concerns over the restaurant and commercial space with what's going on with COVID? Like, are y'all having to work with your tenants to kind of give them some forbearance, for the lack of a better phrase, or what's the outlook
absolutely.
on that?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, they've been impacted by the shutdowns, and so it's slowed them down. We always try and sit pretty heavy on cash in case something like this happens. So like Montgomery, we raised an extra 300 grand. So we're sitting on that. And we didn't have to give anybody forbearance. We, we've negotiated with them and worked out where we gave them some relief for the months that they were hurting. Now they're back and they're running. They're kind of amortizing that over a period of time that they can afford to do that. And then on top of that, we're getting an extension of a year on the backside of that. So so we're working with them. As long as you're heavy in cash, you can afford to do that. If you were tight trying to make a mortgage payment right now, it's going to be difficult in that
Tough. Yeah.
side. Yeah.
So you raised extra money for this just in case. What did that do for your overall projected returns? And how did you calculate those in?
I mean, it reduces the returns just because you're
Right.
bringing more cash to the table. But we were able to offer what we consider a solid return that was conservative as well. And then it gives us the flexibility. One, it makes us not bite on deals that are too skinny.
Yeah.
And two, we can use that to operate how we need. Once we get through all this and start and collections get better and we get some of that money back, we can do a return of capital, and it reduces everybody's everybody's cost basis in it, and it would do nothing but improve the projected returns that we gave them. So we could actually burn through all that cash, use it on mortgage payments, whatever we need to do to get through, and still hit the same returns that we projected. If we're able to return that capital sooner, have it in the bank when we sell, then it's just a better, we'll just beat what we project. So we try and be really conservative when we go in. Obviously,
cool.
It's getting difficult nowadays, but we're kind of, we were investors before we were syndicators and money raisers. So we know what it's like to have money on the line. We've got a lot of our own money out there. So I feel like we offer a good service to the people that invest with us.
Yeah. Do you know, just curious, how many partners do you have now with all your deals? Do you know if that number off the top of your head?
I want to say we have like maybe 8 or 10 in Montgomery, and then we'll have another like 8 or 10 in this Homewood deal.
Gotcha.
So, very and cool. some of them overlap, maybe 15 or 16 individuals.
Gotcha. You know them all by name, first name basis, right?
Yeah. That's what we do. We do 506Bs.
Okay.
So we have pre-existing relationships with everybody, and
friends and family. Love it.
Yeah.
Speaking of restaurants who are probably not worried about COVID, Pirates Cove. I know you mentioned that earlier, or I saw this on I stalked you on Facebook if you haven't figured it out. I have been to Pirates Cove a couple of times. It's an interesting place. My wife and I, we were there. This is before we had kids. Pulled up on our boat, got out. We heard the hamburgers were amazing. We got out, went up to order, and damn it, if there wasn't a dog running out of the kitchen the moment we stepped up to order. And I'm like,
kids and dogs everywhere, man.
What in the hell? How is there a dog in the kitchen? What is this about? But anyway, burger was okay. It does not compete with Jefferson's wings, but it was okay, All right. So you're moving down to Orange Beach. You're making the move, right?
Yep.
Got to ask you, this is an international spotlight. It's the Floribama.
Yeah.
You've been there a couple of times?
Yeah, that's my place, man. Yeah, I was supposed to be in a condo, basically. I mean, you could walk there.
Okay.
I always try and stay close to that. And that's where I hang out, man. I hang out at the Floribama. I got a boat down there. I go from the yacht club, on the old river side.
Yeah.
Park there, hang out. Go to Robinson Island. Go to Pirates Cove, Tacky Jacks, and just kind of bounce around between all those
bar
places.
hopping.
Yeah.
I noticed you're in your Facebook profile pic. You're holding up this monster jack.
Yeah.
Right. What is that? It's not a Jack Crevalle, is it?
Amberjack.
Amberjack. Okay.
Yeah.
Dude. How tall are you? Because it was almost as tall as you were the way you were holding it up.
I'm about 6'1".
Okay. This is a big fish.
Big. Yeah. I want to say it was like 90 pounds, something like that.
Yeah. And if you've never caught an amberjack or anything in the jack family, they are not like a largemouth bass. They're not like a wet sock that you just reel in just because you hooked it in the mouth. I mean, jacks are, man.
They pulled out. That had to be Venice.
Okay.
We used to fish out of Venice a lot.
Nice. Um, that's very cool. All right, man. So we're coming up on our time. As a matter of fact, I think we went past it if we had 30 minutes to do this. We've been talking for a while. We went down some memory lane. Hey, speaking of memory lane, last time I was in Jacksonville, or last time I had thought about Jacksonville up until this point, there was, I looked up, had somebody alert me that they knew I was investing and whatnot, that Track 2 Apartments had came up for sale. And or they were looking to possibly sell it or whatnot. Do you know if that ever sold? Were you aware of it? Did you guys go after it?
No, they got too much money for it.
That's
it sold.
Good.
Yeah, it sold. I want to say probably 2018, if I had to guess.
Okay.
And they've gotten rents up a little bit. When we first quit and went after all the Park Place apartments, they were for sale. And we went after that. We were in second to get that and didn't get that. And before this was, I think this was probably, it would have been the end of 2017. Messed up big time not buying Wynn Place, I think it was, which is right across from the campus. It was kind of run down. It wasn't in good condition. It was going to cost too much to kind of make it nicer to even think about it. The rents were really high for what it was. So we passed on that. I think we were like 90 grand out or something. And I mean, we passed 4 months later. That tornado came and just wiped it out. I mean, we'd have made a freaking fortune if we'd have bought that thing and got the insurance
just
money
collected
for it.
The insurance money.
Yeah, because I mean, it would have taken care. We could have upgraded everything, and
as long as you had the right insurance policy.
Right? Absolutely. Yeah. Make sure you got a good insurance agent that you trust.
Yeah. Do you guys shop insurance for every property, or do y'all have one guy you kind of go?
Not much, man. We've got quite a bit bound with our insurance carrier. He takes care of us, makes sure that we're not overcovered, definitely not undercovered, and it's solid policies. It's not these kind of general or whatever these cut rate insurance policies are that you got to fight. I mean, we had 4 houses get hit, and they were pretty good to work with as far as getting us our money quickly, not holding a lot back. So we've shopped it out before, and it comes back more or less the same or higher most of the time. So we keep him honest, but he takes care of us.
Nice. All right, Josh, we're going to wrap up here. I got a couple of just random questions. It's something new I started doing a couple of weeks ago, as if this interview hasn't been as random can be.
I didn't prepare for this.
Don't worry. Nobody ever does. You'll be fine. What is your earliest memory of someone in sports or fitness who you found inspiring? Earliest memory.
I don't know, man. From Houston, I grew up watching the Rockets, so Hakeem and Clyde Drexler and all those guys.
See, I thought with you being in Alabama that, I mean, you're going to say Bo Jackson, because that was and you and I were just going to bond on another level, right? But then come to find out you're not even from Alabama, so
yeah.
The only time I've ever been starstruck is we were at it wasn't the Cheesecake Factory. It was some pizzeria at the Summit there in Birmingham. And we're sitting at the bar. It's me and my girlfriend at the time, is now my wife, 2 other, my best friend and his wife. We're sitting there at the bar. We're, this California Pizza Kitchen is what it was.
Oh, yeah.
And this guy walks in real quick, pays for his meal. He had it to go order, whatnot, and left. And I'm just sitting there like jaw open, like, and my buddy's like, "What is it?" And I was like, and he had left. By this time I can now talk, right? And he had already left. Yeah. And I was like, "That was Bo Jackson." He goes, "No, it wasn't."
Really?
No, it wasn't. So again, me and eating places and these NFL players coming in. I don't know what it is. Now Warren Sapp. Now we got Bo Jackson. But, we're sitting there, and I was like, dude, I have a small safe in our storage unit with autograph Bo Jackson. This dude's my idol, right? He has posters on the wall when I was growing up and all this other stuff. And so the cashier came over and I said, "Hey, do me a favor. The guy who just checked out, can you tell me the name on the receipt?" And she goes over and she goes, "Oh yeah, it's Vincent Jackson." It's like, it's Bo Jackson. So anyway.
Nice.
All right. All right. So you're a healthy guy, right? You're a CrossFit. You have a CrossFit membership in your lease of the building that you own, the CrossFit gyms in it. So you are a healthy guy, right?
Yeah, I've got more money invested in CrossFit than probably most people.
That's good. That's good. Have you tried something completely unorthodox that was supposed to be healthy?
No, I mean, I get like, if I get where I like to try weird things, if I go to like Whole Foods or something like that, or they've got a bunch of weird stuff. So I normally pick up some sort of organic something, just wacky. I'm on a kombucha kick right now, drinking kombucha tea.
I watched Joe Rogan interview Matthew McConaughey the other day, and they were talking about kombucha, and I was like, "What is this?"
Yeah, it's
who are they getting sponsored by or whatever? I was like, and so they just a whole segment about it. I was like, maybe I need to check it out.
Yeah.
All right, so let me get this straight, Josh. Your edges of the atmosphere is that you go to Whole Foods and you try something a little. There's a Whole Foods in Jacksonville.
No.
Okay.
Birmingham and bigger cities that I travel to.
Right.
No, absolutely not. There's a Walmart here.
And it does very well.
Yeah.
All right.
They've got kombucha at Walmart, surprisingly.
Do they?
Yeah. So
I'm gonna go check it out tomorrow. I'm running out of coffee. I got to go to Publix tomorrow, and
there you go.
It's tea, right? Kombucha tea.
Yeah. It's fermented tea.
All right, I'm gonna check it out. All right, last one.
Don't smell it. Just drink it.
Yeah. Does it smell like asshole? Is that what it's?
Yeah, that's pretty.
Okay. I'm trying not to cuss on the podcast, so sorry. Sorry, you virgin ear listeners.
That started a long time ago.
All right. So last question. Tell an embarrassing or awkward gym story that happened to you.
An embarrassing or awkward gym story. I had a lot of CrossFitters. They get, they do the box jumps and jump on the box and just shred your shin. And I never did that until I was at a competition. I think we were in Moody last winter.
Big city of Moody, Alabama.
Yeah, it's kind of a big competition though. So
yeah,
I was warming up in the athlete area, and there was like 30 people sitting there around it, and that was the first and only time that I wrecked my shin on that. So then I had to do the workout, and it's kind of like it's an embarrassing thing in CrossFit. If you don't do it, you probably don't get it. But it's So I busted myself in front of a bunch of people instead of the.
Well, how did you do in the competition though?
I think we got fourth, but I've got to quit. I've got to go to the Masters division. I can't keep competing with these kids. I'm too old for it.
The Masters division.
Yeah.
Is that a politically correct way just to say old folks?
No, yeah. I mean, once you hit, I think 35, you get to step up, and sometimes the weights are a little bit lighter. So that's what I need to do. I need to give up my ego.
Is there an over 40 division?
Yeah. It only gets easier as you get older. Yeah.
Okay. Is that Masters or is that Grandmasters?
No, that's Masters. They call it all Masters.
I got you. Josh, pleasure talking to you today, man. Getting to know more about you and just understanding everything you've got going on. I love that you diversify with not only what kind of assets you're buying, but also where you're buying them. I mean, you all are sticking. I'm going to loop Pascagoula into the whole state of Alabama, but I mean, you are sticking to the state. It's very landlord friendly laws. And you guys, I mean, it's just incredible because you're making it happen, and you started making it happen when you got laid off. Not laid off. That's my story. When you said, "Hey, Mr. Bossman, Mr. French acquisition company, we're not putting up with your crap anymore. You don't want to take our deal. We're going to go do our own thing." And it just happened to be, ended up being real estate. I know you said that wasn't what you initially done. So just so impressive what you guys have been able to do in the 4 years of investing. That's incredible.
And the thing about real estate, kind of doing it on the side, since this is, a W-2 capitalist type deal, the beauty of doing it on the side while you're working and kind of building your experience, building your net worth, building all those things that require to be in real estate full time. It was a parachute, like I said, it wasn't what we necessarily quit for. Had I not had that, I would have maybe quit the same way, maybe not, I don't know.
But it does give you that confidence, right?
Job.
Yeah.
It
does give you that confidence to walk out and say, look, maybe on that day your balls were just a little bit bigger because you had your portfolio. You know what I mean?
Yeah. We were just coming off the tornado. We made some money, so it was a lot easier. It was a backup. It was a parachute. Had I needed it, to support a family or something, there would have been something there, to kind of carry you through a hard spot in life. So it's definitely where the freedom comes in. That's part of real estate. That's why we do it.
Yeah. There's a lot of guys in the mastermind who are just can't wait to exit and do this full time. And I keep telling them, it's like, it wasn't my plan. If if I wouldn't have gotten laid off, I'd still be working and I would not have been able to focus on growing the W-2 capitalist, which is the educational side of our business. And, but it has given me so much more time to analyze deals. Like last week, we took off to, I almost said the name of the city, but I'm not going to. It's South Florida, kind of West Florida, South area, to look at a property with a potential partner. Just so happened to be, I was going to go, right? It was going to be me and me only, and it was going to be a real quick trip down. It was like a 24-hour deal. And then hurricane, whatever was in the Gulf, Zeta. And I looked at my wife and I said, why don't y'all go with me? And we're just going to make a few days out of it. And if I was still working, we wouldn't have that flexibility. And we went down, we made a little mini vacation on it. And it all comes back to, if I'd had a W-2, if I'd had a job of some sort, I wouldn't have been able to, number one, go look at that property and meet this potential partner. And number two, wouldn't have been able to make a mini vacation out of it. And it just, I'm 6 months past being out of the W-2 world. You're a lot further down the road for me when it comes to that aspect, which I love, because I'm sitting here thinking, you've done this in a couple of years of being exited from the W-2. I'm only 6 months and I'm already seeing like the dominoes that I'm stacking up that are going to fall in the right way. And I'm just like, I'm trying to convince these guys in the mastermind now, with their wife's blessing, of course.
Yeah.
Guys, you're going to grow so much faster. You're going to go so much further when you have the time to devote to it, like you want to devote to it. I mean, taking a couple of hours. Cost. It is. And, it does the risk definitely increases just a little bit when you have a wife and kids and that sort of thing, but there's still risk, right? I mean, they're always going to be there. You got to take the plunge eventually. Anyway, I'm going to start rambling. Josh, how can people who have listened to me babble on about Jeffersons and Warren Sapp and all this, how can they learn more about you, find out more about you, and start building a relationship with you, so that when the next deal comes along, they can start potentially looking at it to invest with you?
Yeah, so we're always looking for properties to invest and grow. That's what we do all day, every day, all week. So you can go. We've got our website. It's currently getting kind of upgraded too by somebody who's a whole lot better at doing that stuff than me. So www.scig.us is our website. It's got all our contact information, our bios. some of our projects and properties. And then I'm always available. Email josh.carlegis, CARLEGIS @scig.us. And I always respond to that, and would love to start the conversation to get involved and to help too. I mean, there's a lot of people that try and want to get into real estate. I'm always happy to talk about it and experiences and pitfalls and all that to help out other investors.
Yeah, and
we joint venture a lot too. So if there's a partnership opportunity, need the experience, capital, debt, whatever that is, we're happy to talk about that.
Yep. I'll be talking to you with that. Not tonight, but very soon. We got some things.
Do it, man. We'll be neighbors here in a couple
that's
days.
true, man. We could actually find a place. We'll go have a beer or something and talk about fish stories for sure. Josh, thank you very much for coming on and sharing your knowledge with us. And a lot of people will ask me, like, why do you just have these conversations with newbies and want to help out? And like, well, it's very reciprocal, right? Is that the more I teach, the more I learn, which is crazy. It makes no sense to me, but it's just something I've discovered after doing this for a couple of years. And it seems like you've tapped into that as well. And I think that's why most everybody who's worth something in the real estate investing community will share and talk with you and just give you some advice, right? And it's up to,
absolutely.
It's up to the other person to actually go take it, right? Take action on it. But anyway, Josh, thanks again, man. I really appreciate your time, and I look forward to when we can do this again.
Okay, thank you. I appreciate it.
All right, buddy. We'll see you.
All right. See you, man.
All right, guys, that's it. That is the episode with Josh. It's going to be one of many that I'm going to bring to you about getting acquired, people who are acquired or part of an organization that was acquired that forced them to start investing, and now they're either full-time investing or they're almost to that point, because that's my story, and I want to know from other people if I'm an anomaly or if it's a trend when companies come in and do these acquisitions that their employees like, all right, you're not listening to me. You don't value me. I'm going to go and do my own thing. Just happens to be real estate, which is what 90% of millionaires, what made them millionaires, is investing in real estate. So I'm going to bring you a lot more stories like this. If anything here resonated with you, I want to hear from you, right? A lot of things here on YouTube, they don't get commented on or whatnot because we talk about some sensitive stuff. And if you're working for a big company and you don't want to put your name out there, then I totally get it. Your boss should not know about your real estate investing aspirations, or if you're already doing it, your boss doesn't need to know, right? Because I've been down that road. I know what that means for you. Just nothing but heartache and pain. So if you don't want to comment below, then send me an email, jay@w2capitalist.com. It's jay@w2capitalist.com. All right. You guys make it a great day, and I will see you in this video right here.